guys, I think I'm in heaven. Hi everyone, welcome back. For today, I have another monthly haul video, and for this month, I have a really big parcel, as you can see over here. It is so big that I can't fit this on the screen. Like, look at how huge this is. If it's in the screen, I'm totally out of it. So yeah, this is for this month's haul video. Why is this parcel so big? Well, inside, there are 10 figures. Yes, 10 figures. It's gonna be an amazing haul. Also, there's a single theme for all these figures. They are all Kuji figures. Yes, this is a Kuji figure haul, and I'm hoping that they'll be of good quality even though they are technically price figures. Well, I did pay quite a bit for them, so I hope they are worth my buck. Besides the figures, I've also got a couple of merch in here which I want to show you guys. Plus, there are a few things in here which are not mine, so I'm not gonna open those up, but you will get a glimpse of them. A glimpse, that's it. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Let's open this parcel up. This huge parcel was shipped from a proxy which I like to use, from Japan. I usually use them for their shopping service on sites which I'm not able to buy from as a foreigner. In particular, the secondhand market sites like Mercari, J Direct Auctions, and Rakuten. Before I get into the figures, I have picked up some merch, the first of which are vinyls from HMV Japan. They don't really allow foreign payment methods, so I have to use a proxy service to buy stuff from them. Here is the first vinyl I got, which is the Noragami soundtrack vinyl. If you have not watched this series, I highly recommend it. The music composed by Taku Iwasaki in this anime are bangers. It's so upbeat with a traditional touch. I actually bought the CDs for these soundtracks in Japan, but lo and behold, they did a vinyl version recently, so I had to grab it. This pink vinyl is so vibrant and I love it. There was a second CD soundtrack too, so I hope that gets a vinyl version as well. Besides Noragami, I also picked up the Frieren Beyond Journey's End soundtrack. I had to. The music in this anime is just beautiful. The cover features Frieren and Fern, napping in a serene and natural landscape. And inside is another big print of Frieren and Fern, looking pretty cool. For this soundtrack, there are two vinyls. Inside the first sleeve, there is another big pretty print with a song list at the back. As for the vinyl, it is in this translucent dull green color. It looks quite pretty, doesn't it? As for the second sleeve, there is a brochure of other soundtracks available from this brand, I suppose, and it's just for information. Here is the second vinyl, and it is also translucent, in a dark blue color this time round. I love how blue this looks. And that's it from HMV. Back to the parcel. Next is a small merch which isn't mine. This is a little rubber charm of Gojo and Geto on a bicycle, looking so adorable together. I quite like the colors on this rubber charm. It looks so detailed and artistic. It's not mine, so all I can do is admire it. But I too picked up some rubber charms for myself. I had to. These are from the Gachia Kujimate series, which you certainly must watch. Do it. I got these charms secondhand from Mercari as a set of 6 different designs of Rudo, Rio, and Engine. There are actually 2 more designs for Zanka, but in this set which I got, at a really good price, it did not have him. So I don't have him. Anyway, my main target was Engine, so I'm happy with what I got. Speaking of Gachia Kujimate merch, at the recent Anime Expo in the US, I was so jealous of the Gachia Kujimate showcase there, and I wish so much that I could go. But I can't. Kei Urana sensei was there and the interaction with the mangaka looked so fun. Also, unlike my local anime conventions, at Anime Expo, I understand that they also give out free anime goodies, like this stuff over here. It seems pretty fun to go around collecting these freebies. It's just like Japan conventions. It seems like you can get a range of goodies, like what I have over here. Keychains, stickers, as well as postcards. But what I really wanted was this Crunchyroll X New Type magazine featuring Engine and Rudo on the cover. And it's free! I was so jealous. Poor old me had to pay $20 for this. Plus, it's not in perfect condition. The corner of the magazine is a bit bent, and there is a dent at the top. At least it's not on Engine's face. Inside, there is a long poster of the cover art, and I love it. I'm not gonna tear this out though. On the other side is the art for this series, To Be Hero. I watched a few episodes of this series but wasn't really up my alley. Anyway, this magazine has some write-ups for Gachia Kuta as well as other anime, considering this is an anime magazine. But I wasn't too bothered by the content inside. Honestly, I just bought this for the Gachia Kuta cover. Okay, the last merch I got in this parcel is also from Gachia Kuta, and these are kinda related to this month's haul topic, Kuji. Yes, this is a set of clear files from an anime merch Kuji set by Maru Kuji. Besides Ichiban Kuji, there are other brands in Japan that does Kuji. I'll share more later, but about this set, this is from the Gachia Kuta series, and it features the art from the various manga volumes. Unlike the usual Ichiban Kuji sets you see around, this Maru Kuji features only merch with no figures. But heck, some merch costs way more than figures in the aftermarket. These files are the medium prices of this Kuji set, and there are 5 different designs. Being the file collector that I am, I needed all 5 of these designs. I love how high quality the prints on files are. Although I won't be using these files, I'll certainly be admiring them. As mentioned, these files features the manga cover arts of this series from volume 1 to 5, and it includes Rudo, Zanka, Engine, Ryo, and Temzi. I really love the manga art style way more than the anime art style. It's very inspiring. Anyway, that's all the merch I have in this parcel, but this ties in nicely with the main topic of today's haul, Kuji. If you don't already know, Kuji is a Japanese term for lottery, raffle, or lucky draw, and it's something you can find in Japan and some Asian countries. Basically, you have to buy a ticket and try your luck at winning the different prizes in a Kuji set, the biggest prizes usually being figures. If your luck is as bad as mine, you get the small prizes, which can be keychains, stickers, files, towels, etc. etc. In Japan, or some Asian anime shops, you may find these odd charts on display, informing you on the prizes which have already been claimed. If a prize has been taken, the ticket will usually be stuck on the chart like this. For example, on this particular chart, there is still one prize C available. All of the prize B and prize A figures have been claimed, so the odds are sadly not so good. By the way, whoever that got that A prize figure, lucky you. This figure is more than 20,000 yen in the aftermarket. I am so jealous. Anyway, I usually get my Ichiban Kuji news from onekuji.com. It features all ongoing and upcoming Kuji sets for various series under Bandai's Ichiban Kuji line. It also lists in detail the prizes available for each Kuji set, including the last prize and the double chance prizes. I'll explain that in a little bit. Besides Ichiban Kuji, there are also other Kuji sets from other companies with different types of prizes, such as this set, which is from Sanrio. Yes, Sanrio. Sanrio sets usually features practical goodies and plushes, instead of figures. And most often to me, all the prizes are quite attractive equally. They are also useful for the household. Like the Ichiban Kuji sets, Sanrio also releases new sets regularly, featuring the various Sanrio characters. And specifically, I love Shinmero. Oh, it's so adorable. Besides Sanrio, there is also Sun X, which features other cutesy characters from Rilakkuma and Sumiko. Not really anime, but if you know, you know. Well, here's one which most figure collectors will know, Good Smile. And I'm sure you've seen these figures before in Wonderfest announcements. And yes, to get these figures, or Nandroids, you need to win it in a lucky draw. If your luck is as bad as mine, you're better off buying this from the secondhand market. Other than Good Smile, Square Enix also has Kujis, and I mainly looked through their stuff for the Neo Kuji sets. We didn't get much Neo figures back then, so these sets were pretty popular. I've seen these figures in real life too, and they look quite big and impressive. Another figure company that has Kuji is Furio, and what they have are the Noodle Stopper figure Kujis. Exactly like their Noodle Stopper figure lines. For example, this is a set for Shigure Ue, whom I believe is a VTuber. Sega is another company that also has Kujis, and some sets have figures, while others have plushies. Regardless, they're all super adorable. Another Kuji company is Web Kuji, and although it says web, you can get some of these in the physical shops. They mostly feature merch as prizes. Like I said, sometimes merch are more expensive in the aftermarket than figures. Depends on the fan base. Next, we have Animate's Kuji, which they call Kujimate. At the moment, I believe these Kuji sets can only be pre-ordered, and I don't think you can find these physically at any Animate stores in Japan. I believe you will be assigned a prize randomly, and your prize will be delivered only once released. It's a bit interesting, and I kinda want to try it one day. Ufotable also has online Kuji, specifically for the Demon Slayer series. I'm telling you now, Ufotable is seriously milking the fans. These Kujis are usually web-based, but at some Comic Cat events, when Ufotable has a booth, you can actually play this Kuji on site and retrieve the prize from the booth itself. That's what I did in Japan, and it was an experience. Next, we have Hiko Kuji, which also features mostly merch type Kujis. There is also Cameo Japan Kuji, which to my knowledge also features merch type Kujis. Kuji Bikido is also another brand for merch type sets, and they have 86, which is a pretty underrated series that more companies need to pick up. I wish Ichiban Kuji would pick this up. I would totally buy the figures from this. And the last Japanese Kuji brand which I know of is from Taito, which also has figures and merch sets. By the way, all Kuji sets have a last prize figure which you can only get if you buy the last ticket in the set. Essentially, if a set has a few tickets left, or if the odds appear extremely good, people usually buy out the remaining tickets and get the extra last prize. Some Kuji sets also have double chance prizes. Like this Riser figure is a double chance prize. Basically, after you open a ticket, some tickets have a unique code at the back. And in Japan, if you submit this code to the respective Kuji platforms, you stand another chance to win a special prize, like these two Riser figures here. For Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia, we also have the double chance lucky draw, since our distributor managed to bring it in. But this only applies to the Ichiban Kuji tickets, and here is how it works. For new Kuji sets sold at local stores, after pulling a ticket, you can keep this part of the ticket. It has a unique code which is used to apply for a chance at the double chance lucky draw. To apply, you have to use WhatsApp. Yes, WhatsApp via this QR code which is shown over here. For this demo, I'll be using this ticket I got from the Demon Slayer Thunder Brothers Kuji set. The double chance prize is amazing. It is not just one figure. You're getting two figures, both the A and B prize. How amazing is that? To start this process, simply drop a message to the Ichiban Kuji chat as shown over here, and a menu will appear. Next, you can click this menu button over here, and a menu will literally pop up. There are quite a few options to choose from, but for this application, you have to select Lucky Draw. A whole bunch of messages will then pop up, listing down the various Kuji sets where the Double Chance campaign is applicable. You will also be asked to select the Kuji set which you just played, so be sure to know the name of the Kuji you played. These long messages also indicates the remaining rewards for the respective countries. So don't bother if your Kuji has 0 remaining prizes. It means someone has already claimed it. For myself, the Demon Slayer Thunder Brothers Kuji set still has one award for Singapore. Hence, I'm gonna try my luck and key in the correct code. Once you insert the correct code for the Kuji set you played in the chat, you will then be prompted to agree with the terms and conditions. You can pause to read it for yourself, but I'm just gonna click yes. Next, you'll be asked to do a survey and you can't skip it, so you have no choice but to say yes. There are a lot of questions, so I'm just gonna speed run through it. But once that is done, you can finally key in the unique code on your Kuji ticket. You can also scan the ticket with your phone camera, but that has never worked for me. So I usually just key in the code manually. And after all that hassle, more often than not, you won't win anything. I've never won anything, but there are lucky folks that have won before, and to my knowledge, upon winning, the double chance prize will be sent directly to you if you're in Singapore, Malaysia or Indonesia. I wish I could win once. Besides Japan, China also has lucky draw sets like Kuji, which I know nothing about. But my local anime stores have some of these on sale. The funny thing is, I can actually buy the exact price I want from Taobao. Never tried it before, but it's probably more worth it considering my luck. Well, that's what I know about Kuji and the various Kuji sets available in the market. But for today's haul, I will be specifically going through the Ichiban Kuji line. This is the most recognized Kuji set from Japan, and most sets have figures of popular anime series. In Japan, I believe each Kuji tickets are usually around 600 to 800 yen. So consider all the figures I have in this haul as a originally 700 yen price figure. The price I paid is basically the aftermarket price. Under the Ichiban Kuji line, there is a special series of figures under the Masterlise line, which stands for Master plus Stylize. Essentially, compared to other Ichiban Kuji sets, these have higher quality figures with more elaborate coloring, refined textures, and meticulous sculpting. These figures are also generally bigger than the other Ichiban sets. And just as the name suggests, some of these Masterlise figures are quite expensive in the aftermarket, just like the Shishiro Makoto figure which I mentioned previously. Yes, he is a Masterlise figure. Under the Masterlise line, there are other subcategories, but for today, I will only be touching on the Masterlise Expiece line. They are supposedly the same as the Masterlise line in terms of quality, but of a smaller scale, matching the size of the other Ichiban Kuji sets. So here, I have 3 categories of figures from the Ichiban Kuji line. First are the general Ichiban Kuji figures, followed by the Masterlise Expiece series, and lastly, the Masterlise series, arranged in supposedly increasing quality and size. Today, I'm gonna find out if this is truly the case. With that out of the way, let's start with the lowest quality category, the Ichiban Kuji general sets. Here is an example of one such set where it does not have the Masterlise or Masterlise Expiece label. The promo pictures for the figures still looks attractive nonetheless. For this set, the A price figure is Bokuto and it is about 18 cm high. Figures from this line are generally this tall, and I've observed that the scale of these figures usually range from 1:10 to 1:8. With that in mind, the first figure from this line which I picked up is So Hayato, the B price figure from the Windbreaker After the Battle Kuji set. I got him for under $50, which is more or less a price figure price. I also wanted a figure of So, and in case you haven't noticed, we don't get much figures of the boys from this series. In fact, there are no scale figures for So. Mostly only chibi minifigures are available. It's crazy considering how popular this series is to the ladies. As such, it is safe to say that this is the best PVC figure of So out there right now. As for the box, it is a standard price figure box made of cheap cardboard, I would say. The saving grace is that the box is quite thick, so it's pretty sturdy overall. The design and photos printed on this box also look pretty good, so not bad. Inside this box, there are 2 blister packages. The first smaller blister package is for the base, which is actually So's school chair. It's quite a nice prop to have. As for the second blister package, it has the figure of So himself. And that's it. It's really just a simple prize figure. For assembly, So simply sits on this chair. His butt is kind of flat for that. When aligned correctly, he just simply sits on the chair. Nothing too difficult as expected. With that, I have the Price B figure of So, fully assembled. And at 15.5 cm high, he is around a 1/10 scale. He's on a smaller side, like most other cheap low-budget figures from Bandai or Sega. Despite the size, what made me pick this figure up is the fact that there are no other high-quality figures of So out there. I also quite like the novelty of his pose and his face, looking at you with such a boyish charm. So soon. To be honest, I can't quite say he looks perfect from all angles, but he looks his best from this angle. His eyes and face expression truly matches his character design perfectly. However, as he rotates to the side, his face seems too angular to me. Not that it looks horrible, it still looks passable to me. What's horrible is the untidy paintwork at his eye patch. Now that looks bad. Unfortunately, this will be a common QC issue you will find on all Kuji figures, no matter the type nor the series. It's just something you would expect from Bandai and any other low-budget price figure companies like Sega. Heck, Sega can even mess up the QC on their scale figures. So with that in mind, here is another QC issue, where there are not so nice seam lines in the hair and clothes. You can also see some mole lines on his hair, though it doesn't look too bad for this So. On the plus side, I would comment how neat his hair sculpt actually is. It is simple but neat, so I'll give it a pass. It would have been better if there was more shading, but what can I expect from a 700 yen figure? Moving down the figure, So sits on this simple school chair, which makes a perfect prop for any 1/10 scale setups. It is quite light and feels kinda cheap, but looks pretty decent with a good amount of details for its scale. As for So, sadly you find some more paint bleeding on his clothes. That black blazer that So is wearing also has no shading, making the figure look pretty flat. But all that is pretty okay to me. What I absolutely hate is this Made in China label at the bottom of his blazer. I know So has no base to put this label, but why did they have to put it on the figure himself? It should have been placed at the bottom of the chair, not on the blazer. As for the white shirt, I'm quite impressed by the sculpt of the fabric. It is fairly detailed to the extent where shadows are naturally created, introducing actual shading on that white top. Sadly, his pants is as flat as his blazer. I kinda wonder if the special coating applied to some scale figures can make this price figure look way better. I kinda want to test this out, but I'm not sure what special coatings are available to buy out there. If anyone knows, please let me know. On to the next figure, once again from Windbreaker. This time of Umemiya, the Price B figure from Windbreaker Festival Kuji. Just like So, Ume does not have many figures out in the market. He has a high quality figure from Union Creative with a nice flag, but I kinda missed it. Considering that Union Creative is also a hit and miss company, I turned to the Kuji figures instead. I also highly doubt there will be any new figures of this guy from any other better figure brands. Just like So's box, it is made of that cheap price figure cardboard, which is thick and sturdy. There is also a window on the front, so you can see how the actual figure looks like. And it's presented like most scale figures. Opening up the box, inside, there is only one blister package. Opening this up, this blister package only includes the base and the figure of Ume himself. So yeah, once again, a simple figure with only two components. For assembly, here is a closer look at the base, which looks way better than even some scale figure bases. Those floor tiles look so nicely detailed with cracks and texture. Sadly, the pegs are plastic, but I don't expect metal pegs on a cheap price figure like this. at least Ume slots into his base pretty easily. And here is Umemiya fully assembled. He is about 23 cm high. Ume is about 1.8 meters tall in the anime, so unlike Soul, which seems a bit smaller, this figure is almost a 1/8 scale figure. And that's almost the same size as Union Creative's high quality figure, which is also about 20 cm tall. Same size but costs way cheaper, whether it's the actual Kuji price or the second-hand market price. As for the details, I am quite impressed. First off, Bandai nailed his face. He has his usual cheery expression, which I love so much, and it's on point with his character design. His mouth sculpt also looks really good. As for his hair, it's not fantastic but passable. They did sculpt his messy locks, but compared with Union Creative's figure, it is less refined and has no shading. There are also very obvious mole lines. At least this is at the back, so out of sight, out of mind. As for the outfit, Bandai did a good job. Ume is dressed in a two-tone yukata. The green side has a good amount of shading, and the obi has a nice triangular design. The way it is tied at the back also looks very natural. There are also subtle fabric folds sculpted on the yukata, which looks really good. Unfortunately for me, my copy has this black stain on the green side of the yukata. On the bright side, Bandai can certainly sculpt their figures well when they want to. Like compared to Soul, look at Ume's hands. The muscle is subtly sculpted. On the back, that red fan is also a great addition to introduce a pop of color. Unfortunately, it is at the back, so I won't see it much on the display. Oh, by the way, although the paintwork on Ume is much neater than Soul, there are still some mess-ups. You can't help it since it's Bandai's QC issue. Lastly, moving down the figure, I have the base, which I complimented earlier. It has a cobblestone floor tile pattern, which is very realistic looking, with cracks and texture, creating a context for this figure. Ume is also wearing traditional Japanese sandals, and like his hands, his feet is also decently sculpted. Anyway, enough of the feet, on to the next figure. This time from another shonen series which don't get much figures, Haikyuu. In my previous haul, I bought out a Kuji with Suki and Tetsuro. This time, I got the A-price figure of Bokuto Kotaro from the Haikyuu Road to the Nationals Kuji set. If you noticed, the price I got for all these Kuji figures are inconsistent, ranging from 4,500 to 6,000 yen. I'm pretty sure if you look hard enough, you can find better deals than me. Ideally, I don't recommend paying over $100 for Kuji figures. Keeping to the low budget and price figure price range is good enough for me. Anyway, here is Bokuto's box, and it feels a lot more premium compared to the Windbreaker figures boxes. But it is thinner and feels a lot more flimsy, so it's gonna dent if tossed around without care. There is also a window on the front and top, displaying the figure quite nicely like scale figures. Inside, there is only one blister package, and by the way, none of these figures have instructions, so you just gotta wing it. For this figure, I first have this clear plastic base, followed by the figure of Bokuto himself. And that's it. Only 2 components for this figure as well. For assembly, here is his base, and it has 3 plastic pegs for Bokuto to slot into. That so detailed under his shoes looks so good. Unfortunately, unlike Ume and the other figures I'm about to open, Bokuto was a pain in the butt to set up on his base. His feet and the pegs do not align perfectly, and I needed to give him a stretch to slot him in. He kept popping out from one side when I tried to slot the other side in, and it is really annoying. After a very long time of struggling, he finally pops into the base. Oh, thank goodness, I am never taking him off. With that, Bokuto is fully assembled, and his total height is 22 cm tall. So this time, the figure is about 1/10 scale. Compared to the other 2 Haikyuu figures which I got, Bokuto has way more details and his pose is way more exciting. It captures his energy extremely well. Like the Windbreaker boys, Bokuto does not have much figures as well. In fact, all his other figures don't look as good as this Kuji figure. They all have derpy faces. Sorry, not a fan of them. I mean, look at Bokuto's face. It is spot on, from every angle. That mouth sculpt looks fantastic. Although the paintwork, well, that's something Bandai seriously needs to work on. It's like the inner side of his teeth has decayed. As for his hair, the spikiness is nicely sculpted with streaks of black in his grey locks. From far, it looks great. But once again, on a closer look, the scalp is rough with mole lines. Another QC issue Bandai needs to work on. As for the outfit, the scalp is top-notch. I don't think there is any shading, but the fabric folds makes it look fairly detailed. The colours of his outfit is also spot on, and it matches the anime extremely well. The surface of this figure also feels nicer than usual. It's not shiny like most other cheap price figures. It's got a matte finish to it. And as mentioned, Bokuto is way more detailed compared to Suki and Tetsuro. Ultimately, I think it's thanks to the jacket. Look at that zipper sculpt. It is so fine. The paintwork could have been improved though. On the back, the decal work of the logo is sharp and neat too. I see a bit of shading on the jacket as well, so it adds to the depth of the details. The striped edge of the jacket is also nicely sculpted, but once again the paintwork is kinda sloppy. Moving down the figure, Bokuto stands on a big round disc, which I wish was smaller. It's nice that the clear plastic has some designs on it, but it takes way too much space. Also, it sucks that the pegs don't align with the figure that well. Assembly was a struggle. Like the other Haikyuu figures I got, Bokuto's shoes are fairly detailed as well. They look like A6 shoes. But what I'm most impressed with are his knee guards. Look at that fabric crease, reflecting how the knee guards has stretched his tights. It is so tight fit. Unfortunately for me, my copy has a white scarf on one side. When it's a light coloured surface, I get a black stain. When it's a black surface, I get a white scarf. It's only one way or the other. Bandai, please. Well, that's it for Bokuto. But something to mention, Bokuto is about the same height as Suki and Tetsuro, which is in line with the character profiles. So I can display them together as they are of the same scale. Nice. Okay, this is the last figure I got from the General Ichiban Kuji figures category, and once again, it is another anime with not much figures. Dandadan. Seriously, mainstream anime which are popular could do with a lot more scale figures. With no other competition, Bandai's Ichiban Kuji figures are pretty much the only option. Excluding third-party resin statues, of course. To be fair, there are a decent amount of alternatives for Okarun available, but it's either from Bandai, Sega or Figuarts. Excluding Sumei's resin statue. That's too much for a character I like but don't love. Personally, I just wanted a simple standing Okarun in his transformed form with part of his face exposed. Specific? Yes. And only this Kuji figure got it right. As for the box, I must say it's so creative, especially that UFO window on the side. Love it. The box material is also once again cheap cardboard but sturdy and thick to protect the figure. There is also a window on the front to display the figure like a scale figure. Inside the box, there is only one blister package, and it holds the base as well as the figure of Okarun himself. So once again, a simple figure with only two components. For assembly, once again, we have the plastic base with a plastic pack for Okarun to plug into. There is only one pack, so Okarun can rotate around his base, but better not do that since it might scratch the print off. And here is Okarun fully assembled. Including his hair, he stands at 22.5 cm tall. That's about a 1/8 scale figure. A standard size for most male figures most of the time. As mentioned, I only wanted a transformed Okarun figure with half of his face exposed, so I get to see his face and yet have his transformed mask on. There is an alternative by Sega, but it's way shorter and I think I prefer the look with his coat on. A face like that is hard to get right, and I'm quite happy that Bandai nailed it. It's just a bit funny that his specs is missing its arms. I doubt it can hang off his nose like that realistically. Other than that, his eye decals and face marks are done so well. His mouth is also sculpted pretty well even though it's only slightly opened. As for his hair, it's sculpted pretty well. I quite like how flowy it looks. There is not much shading, but there are red streaks in his hair. These streaks actually sits within a groove, but I must say the paintwork is kinda sloppy close up. Sadly, there are still mole lines present in the hair for this figure as well. It is so strange honestly, because Bandai always does a good job on the body sculpt. Like you don't really see any mole lines anywhere else but the hair. And the detail sculpted on the outfit is fabulous. Look at all that fabric fold. The back also has some transition from black to red, and it looks fairly smooth. Sadly, there is a shiny texture which most price figures have, making the finish feel cheap. Is there a coating which I can buy to make these price figures look more fancy? I wanna try it out if there is one. Anyway, a closer look at the details on his outfit. I quite like the golden buttons. It's not a super neat paintwork, but it has a worn out kind of look. The belt buckle also looks pretty rustic. As for his hands, spot on. I love how detailed it is sculpted. Look, he even has nails. Sadly, you can see a bit of the mole lines, but it's not too obvious. Lastly, moving down to the bottom of the figure, we have the base, which is pretty unique. It is not a round disc for one. Instead, it's the logo for Dandadan. Simple yet relevant. Just like his hands, Okarun's feet are also sculpted really well. Look at that shading detail and the toenails are painted. And that's all I got from the general Ichiban Kuji line. Now let's turn the notch up and look at some Masterlise Expiece figures. These Kuji sets will have this Masterlise Expiece label, and honestly I don't know the difference between this and the general Ichiban Kuji line. Like if you take a look at the height of the figures, they also range around 1:10 to 1:8, which is the same as the previous line of figures I just opened. I suspect, compared to the previous figures, the Masterlise Expiece are supposed to be more detailed and refined. Well, we'll be the judge of that. Starting off this review, I have two figures from the Sakamoto Days Volume 2 Kuji set. But I'm only gonna review one of them, since this Osaragi figure is not mine. But you can admire her box, which is quite sturdy like the previous Kuji figures I opened. You can also have a glimpse of her from the window at the front. And that's it. That's all you'll get. But don't worry, I'll let you take a look at my figure, Nagumo, also from the same Kuji set. I wanted a figure of this guy, but I didn't want an expensive figure of this guy. Just like the previous figures I opened, Nagumo doesn't have much options out there. A common theme you would notice for Ichiban Kuji figures which I buy, and that's what makes them so novel. Like Osaragi, Nagumo's box is also sturdy and thick, but it's the usual cheap cardboard used for price figures. There is a window on the front, sides, and top, displaying the figure quite nicely. Opening up this box and taking that blister package out, you can see how cheap this cardboard box is. The print on the inner side of the box is cracking up and it looks pretty bad. As for the single blister package, I first have the base, which is the most boring one so far. Not a good sign for what they claim is the master stylized figure. Next, we have Nagumo's weapon. And lastly, the figure of Nagumo himself. And this time, we have 3 components for this figure. One extra part for the Masterlise Expiece line, I guess. For assembly, here is the boring round disc base, where Nagumo will slot into with his plastic pegs. He goes in quite easily, although that glossy black disc is such an annoying material. I keep leaving fingerprints on the base. After he is on the base, I still need to attach Nagumo's hand with his weapon. It simply slots into the arm at the specific orientation. It goes in quite smoothly, but only when aligned correctly. And with that, here is Nagumo fully assembled. To me, the best figure of him currently available. There is a Vibration Stars price figure of him in a very similar pose, but he is slightly smaller at about 20 cm high. Also, the coat on that one does not seem to have much shading. I know there is another high quality one coming up by Mega House, but it's Mega House, so I guess it's gonna be small too. As for the face, I'm quite okay with it, although from certain angles, the eyes looks a tad bit too big. However, in the anime, his eyes do look like that at times, so you either love it or hate it. They also included his neck tattoo, and that looks pretty neat. a fine detail Bandai captured pretty well. As for his hair, it is a simple short style and Bandai sculpted it like how they usually sculpt their prize figures. It has some details but is not super refined. You can also see the seam line of the front and back of his hair. At least for this one, because of the simple hairstyle, the mole lines are not that obvious but still kinda there. As for his outfit, as usual, the plastic Bandai uses still feels cheap with that shiny finish. But like the other Kuji figures I opened, there is a good amount of fabric folds sculpted on the clothes. Plus, Nagumo's trench coat has quite a good amount of shading, something the other figures lack. His shirt also has its signature diamond-shaped patterns and the decals looks kinda neat, except for this spot here. Oof, Bandai. As for his hands, nicely done once again Bandai. Now you just need to work on that hair. Nagumo is also holding his weapon and I love it. The metallic paintwork is spot on and all the details crafted on this piece is fantastic. Plus, the tattoos on his hands, once again a great detail Bandai included. Moving down the figure, Nagumo stands on a really boring glossy black base. Personally, a downgrade from the general Ichiban Kuji figures I got previously. Its only selling point is how small it is, taking up less real estate in the shelves. What I do like is the glossiness of his shoes, which contrasts the matte finish of the sole of his shoes. The creases sculpted on the shoe that is bent is also a nice touch. As for the pants, also nicely sculpted, although there is a lack in shading. And that's it for Nagumo. On to the second Masterlise Expiece figure, and this is Gintoki, the B prize figure from the Gintama 20th Anniversary Exhibition Kuji set. This set. Yes, Gintoki is the main prize everybody wants from this set. So much so that if the two B prizes are gone, this set is more or less dead. Unlike the other Kuji figures opened thus far, Gintoki actually has quite a lot of figures out there to pick from, 37 of which are Kuji figures. He does have 1/8 scale figures of him by Mega House and they do look interesting. However, these are figures from 10 years ago and figure manufacturing technology has come a long way. I wanted something more updated and only Bandai is pushing out new figures of this guy, like this Masterlise Gintoki released last year. I know Mega House recently put out a new 1/8 scale figure of Ginpachi Sensei, but I prefer the colours on the version from 10 years ago. Yes, this is technically still a re-release figure for a 10-year-old figure. Okay, back to the figure, his box. What is this? This is his blister package. It's a cardboard blister package. Oh Bandai, I thought this is a Masterlise Expiece figure. Anyway, inside, I first have his sword, which looks really realistic. The next components are in this plastic bag, typical of those cheaper price figures from crane machines. Inside, we first have his base, which is this flexible plastic piece. Next is the figure of Gintoki himself. And that's it, 3 pieces once again for the Masterlise Expiece figure. For assembly, Gintoki's shoe has to slide into this thing and personally I don't like doing this. The fit is quite tight and I'm super concerned that the paint on his very nicely painted shoes will be scuffed. It is so tight that I doubt you can even fit a protective sheet in between. It's also a struggle to put him in. Listen to that scratchy sound. It makes my hair stand. I am never taking him off this base ever. As for his sword, look at it. It looks like real wood. I was almost fooled until I touched it and realized it was plastic. It doesn't have that awful shiny finish which cheap plastic has. Plus, that engraving at the handle of the sword, it's so tiny yet so sharp. A Masterlise detail right here. To attach this, sadly, it has to squeeze through his hands, and once again, I'm scared of paint scuffing. Gintoki's hands are kind of flexible, so you can slide the sword through with a bit of force, although I don't like doing that. And after that hair standing assembly process, Gintoki is fully assembled. As a Masterlise Expiece figure, he stands at 22 cm tall, and that's a 1/8 scale figure height. The same size as his other scale figures available in the market. I find their recent prices ridiculous as well, rather get a Kuji figure. In particular, the upcoming Ginpachi Sensei Masterlise figure. These are gonna be the biggest figures you'll get from Gintama, if you exclude the third-party resins. That bubblegum Sogo, I need him. Personally, I do want a figure of Gintoki on his bike, and yes, there is a Kuji of his figure like that out there, but it's a price figure and only 15cm tall. Tiny. I can only accept that scale if the figure is up to Outer's standard of quality. How about it, Outer? A Gintama figure on a bike would sell pretty well. Anyway, how does this Gintoki figure fare? Well, I certainly wish I paid less than what I did. Less than $80 would have been preferred. Nonetheless, I think Bandai did a good job with his face. This serious looking Gintoki is well welcomed, plus the goggles are a nice accessory. As for his hair, although this looks way better than any other Kuji figures I've seen so far, mine is all messed up at the front. What is with that rough texture? At the front, nonetheless. At the back, his messy locks are sculpted and shaded pretty well. It is lighter at the top and darker at the bottom. Unfortunately, hair is not Bandai's strongest trait, and mole lines are once again present. As for the body sculpt, very nice Bandai, very nice muscle sculpt. His clothes have a nice matte finish, unlike his skin, which has that cheap shiny plastic look. There is also a good amount of shading on his white yukata, as well as a bit of highlights on his black shirt. Black clothes on figures usually look flat, so this is a fantastic paintwork which Bandai included. There are also some red trimmings on his shirt, but the paintwork there is still sloppy. As for the hand sculpt, it also looks good, very finely sculpted. Lastly is the sword. It looks very real, and I'm quite impressed. Very impressed. It has a wooden texture which looks very authentic. It fooled me once. Moving down the figure, I'm sorry I'm not a fan of this type of bases, especially when the shoes look this good and are at risk of being scuffed. It's glossy with a nice detailed buckle. There are also some seam lines at the bottom of his shoes, and it's a really nice touch. Never to be seen, but included regardless. Gintoki's yukata also has his signature blue and teal swirly patterns. The decal work is very neat, and there are no mess-ups for this portion to me. Okay, that's the Masterlise Expiece line. Now for the cream of the crop, the Masterlise line. Pricing-wise, the Masterlise Kuji sets cost around the same price as the other Ichiban Kuji sets. Most Ichiban Kuji tickets price range from 680 to 750 yen in Japan, and it varies for different sets, but that's the typical range. So essentially, for a Masterlise figure, you're gonna get more for your buck. But what more will you get? Compared to all the other figures we've seen so far, the Masterlise figures are bigger. Like the Masterlise Akaza over here, he is 25cm high, which is at a 1/7 scale. No other companies except third-party resins will ever make a 1/7 scale male figure from a shonen series. So this is the only big Akaza figure that is licensed which you'll probably ever get. Maybe Freeing or Aniplex may do a 1/4 figure of him, but that's too big and probably too expensive for me. Anyway, the first Masterlise figure I got is Gaara, and this is the last price figure from the Naruto Chunin Exam Kuji set. Once again, I got this for the novelty. Characters from Naruto don't get much figures. Sure, there are existing figures of Gaara out there, but only 2 of which are scaled figures, and they are about 10 years old. The rest are resin statues, and that's way too expensive for a Gaara to me. I would have loved that samurai one. It's a 1/7 scale figure at 31cm high, but he has doubled in price, and I'd rather pay less than $70 for a Gaara at roughly the same scale. Here is the Gaara I got, and he comes in a sturdy box, which is just like the other Kuji boxes. Unfortunately for me, this is a second-hand figure and my box has some water stains. It looks so gross. There are also some dents on the front, and I suspect this is because the previous owner was trying to remove a badly sticky price tag from the box, and his nails left some dents on it. I'd rather he just leave the price tag on. Anyway, there are no windows on this box, but lots of photos of the figure printed on. And I must say, those are really nicely taken promo pictures. Just like the Kaiju 8 Narumi Kuji figure which I opened last time, the flaps for this box are all interlocking and really fancy. After navigating all that, there is a huge blister package inside. It is all because of that umbrella. He has an extra blister package just for this umbrella. Thanks to the good packaging, my umbrella is all intact. Now, this is the biggest figure of an umbrella I've ever seen. As for the other blister package, I first have this base. Boring for a Masterlise figure. Next is the handle for the umbrella, which is like a bamboo. And lastly is the figure of Gaara himself. Quite a number of components for this Masterlise figure, all thanks to that umbrella. For assembly, here is the boring base. The only saving grace is that it has a matte finish, so my fingerprints won't stain the surface too easily. Gaara only has plastic pegs despite his size. At least they are big, so he feels kinda stable on the base. Next is the giant umbrella, and at the middle there is a hole that slots into this bamboo handle. There is a plastic peg on the bamboo so that it secures the umbrella to Gaara on his shoulder. To set this up, the bamboo handle needs to slide through Gaara's hands first. I really dislike doing this. It makes me anxious since I could scuff the figure through this process. Once it's in, I have to align the peg on the bamboo with the hole on Gaara's shoulder to secure the umbrella to Gaara. I did not want to break this peg, so it is not pushed all the way in. Just sufficient to ensure that the umbrella would feel stable. Lastly is to slot the umbrella in, and I had no issues with that. Alas, Gaara is fully assembled. Including the umbrella, he stands at 28.5 cm tall, a fantastic scale we will never ever get from other brands for under $100. This is certainly the value a Masterlise figure Kuji brings to me. Good scale, decent details and affordable price, provided it's not so crazy expensive in the aftermarket. All it has are Bandai's usual QC issues, so let's take a look. Like the so-called less premium Kuji lines, Bandai nailed Gaara's face. His expression is spot on, no matter the angle you look at this figure from. The tattoo on his face looks very neat, and his eye decals very sharp, reflecting the intensity of this character. But as usual, Bandai's QC issue strikes again. My Gaara has a nasty blackhead that won't come off at the side of his face. It's like inside the plastic. As for the hair, it's a great improvement from the smaller Kuji figures from before. Firstly, the sculpt is more detailed, reflecting the messy locks decently well. You don't really see the mole lines either. All that's missing is some shading to create more depth, and perhaps that special coating to remove that cheap shiny plastic finishing. In fact, a coating should be applied to the entire figure. His clothes also have that shiny cheap plastic look. There is also a lack in shading, but the sculpt work of the fabric and details, fantastic as usual. I especially love the gourd for his sand. It has a ceramic-like texture, adding to the realism of the figure. Gaara also has a couple of buckles with his Sand Village headband, and that is nicely detailed. Sadly, although minor, the paintwork on the buckles are still sloppy. Moving down the figure, I am once again disappointed by the boring base. It is a thin matte finish plastic base, which is kinda big. Well, it can't be helped since Gaara's feet are placed far apart. Speaking of feet, they look kinda stubby, but the bandages above his sandals are nicely detailed. There is an obvious seam line, but I think it can be overlooked. And that's it. Next up is another male Masterlise figure, and this is of Grimmjow, the C-price figure for the Bleach Stirring Souls Volume 1 Kuji set. Once again, we don't have much alternatives for Grimmjow, although I'm still waiting for a re-release of this Mega House figure. He is 25 cm high, which is about the same size as his newest Masterlise figure over here. I am so tempted to get that other Masterlise figure because it's cheaper than the Mega House one right now. So Mega House, please re-release your Grimmjow before I give in to the scalpers. As for this Grimmjow, he comes in a sturdy box, like the other Kuji figures I got. No windows for this one, but there are really nice promo pictures of this figure on the box. It is also quite a slim box, so great for keeping the shipping costs low. Opening up this box, inside, there is only one blister package. Within that, I first have a base which is just like Gintoki's. Oh dang. Next is the figure of Grimmjow himself. And that is all the components I got for this figure. For assembly, here is that feet support base, which I dislike because of the potential paint scuffing. Thankfully, Grimmjow seems to slot in a lot easier than Gintoki, so I don't think I ruined his shoes. And that's it. Grimmjow is fully assembled. Unlike the existing figures of him out there, this Grimmjow is in a more fashionable streetwear outfit. Something I love Bleach for. They really made a fashion statement back in the days with their art. There is a Vibration Stars price figure of Grimmjow in this same outfit, but it cannot be compared with a Masterlise figure. Looking into the details, his face, spot on as usual from all angles. I love how sharp his facial features are. He has a hollow mask at the side of his face and it's detailed really well. Great texture and nice shading. His hair is also nicely done. The spiky hair have individual locks sculpted with a tint of white at the tips. The sculpt is quite refined and neat. There are a bit of more lines, but it is not as obvious compared to the less premium Kuji figures I opened earlier. Sadly, at the back, there is an obvious seam line between the top and bottom of his hair and I'm not a fan of it. Yeah, hair is not Bandai's strongest suit. But sculpting outfit is. Look at that fabric folds. It's so nice. Don't really like the shiny plastic look though. I wish there was a more matte finish to make his clothes look less cheap. They did it for Bokuto, why couldn't they have done it for this Masterlise figure? However, if they were going for a more glossy look, they could have applied the same type of coating used on the white jacket. That looks way better. It also has quite a bit of shading, adding a great depth to the details. Speaking of details, there are silver trimmings and belts on his outfit, and the colours really pop out from the black outfit. It's neat, but a bit off at some spots. Bandai's usual QC issue. Moving down the figure, Grimmjow's pants is in the same colour and finishing as his black top. I guess you could say they look like skin-tight leather pants, but still not a fan of that shiny plastic texture. As for the base, once again, not a fan of this type of bases, but it does its job. His shoes are thankfully not damaged. They have a nice metallic detail and the paintwork for this portion is quite neat, except for a bit of black paint bleeding over here. You almost got it, Bandai. And with that, I've come to the last figure in my Kuji haul. Just in time with the recently aired Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie, here is the Akaza C price figure from the Demon Slayer Upper Moon 3 Kuji set. Unlike all the figures I opened today, Demon Slayer is a series that gets a ton of figures, rare considering it's a shonen series. So why did I go for a price figure of Akaza when Aniplex and Mega House have high quality figures of him? It is basically the sheer size of this figure. But before I get into that, here is his box. It is just like all the other Kuji figure boxes I opened, sturdy and cheap feeling. No windows with really nice photos of the figure on the box. Just like Gaara, this box has many interlocking flaps, so opening up the box is a little bit of a process. Inside, here is his one single blister package. And opening this up, I first have his base. Well, it's boring once again. And the main highlight of this figure is Akaza. So that's it, just these two components for this figure. For assembly, here is the base, which is an oval clear plastic base. For some reason, all the Masterlise figures I have got these boring bases. Perhaps they needed to keep the cost low to focus on the details on the figure. Anyway, Akaza simply slots into his base like so. He stands upright, so I don't think those plastic packs would be a problem. And here is Akaza fully assembled. He stands at a height of 26.5 cm, the biggest figure of Akaza you can currently get, excluding resin statues. Yes, those high quality 1/8 scale figures by Aniplex and Mega House cannot compare. They are only about 18 cm high, and this is the main value a Masterlise figure brings to the table: size. Details wise, Bandai did put in a great effort for this one. Akaza's face is so well done. I love his confident expression, which looks perfect from all angles. His mouth sculpt also looks so good with those tiny fangs, and the decals of his eyes and tattoos are nicely detailed. Sadly, Bandai just can't get the paintwork perfect. Some of that blue paint is a bit off from the groove of the tattoo marks. As for his hair sculpt, the spiky locks are nicely sculpted, but sadly not perfectly fine. You still see a bit of mole lines, but it's not too bad. His hair could also do with a bit more shading. The pink is kinda flat. As for his body sculpt, I can only say those muscles look so fine. Nice shading, nice definition. Even the veins as he flexes his muscles are sculpted. He's wearing a purple vest and sadly that looks really flat. Plus the shiny cheap plastic look doesn't help. Moving down the figure, here is the boring base once again. Not a fan. But the oval shape helps reduce the amount of space this figure would take. As for his feet, it is nicely sculpted too. The toes are dark blue with nails painted red, a nice detail Bandai captured from the character design. The beads he wears on both feet and hands also look really nice. Overall, the main feature of this figure to me is his scale. Compared with this 1/8 scale figure of Rengoku by Aniplex, he is at least a head bigger. I wish scaled figure brands would consider making 1/7 scale male figures. They would certainly look more impressive and I don't mind paying a bit more for the bigger size. Anyway, these are all the figures I picked up from today's Kuji haul. Now that I've seen the 3 different categories of figures from the Ichiban Kuji line, what are my thoughts? Firstly and most honestly, I don't really see the difference between the general Ichiban Kuji figures and the Masterlise Expiece figures. Look, I even mixed them all up in this photo because I can't tell the difference, and I'm sure you can't tell either. They are all about the same scale and detail-wise more or less similar, depending on the character design. In fact, amongst the smaller figures, Bokuto and Gintoki seems to be of the best quality, mainly because their outfits do not have that cheap shiny plastic look. A matte coating finish would have gone a long way. As for the last 3 figures, well, they are clearly from the Masterlise line, and their main selling point is the scale. However, the cheap shiny plastic finish, mold lines, and sloppy paintwork are still QC issues you'll find on this supposedly more premium line of Kuji figures. I'll just consider this as Bandai's issue, like how we usually consider Fat Company and Union Creative as hit and miss companies. Despite their flaws, Bandai has certainly got the sculpting handicraft down to the T. Fantastic details on the clothes, weapons, accessories, and the decal work is also fantastic, just not the paintwork. Some of their Kuji figures also have fantastic looking base, but I guess it does not apply to all. Heck, the Masterlise figures I got have boring bases, most likely to keep the cost low. Lastly, in my opinion, the best selling point for some of these Kuji figures, and the reason why some of them are so crazy expensive in the aftermarket, is the novelty of the concepts they come up with. Almost all the figures I have here do not have alternative high quality figures of the same scale and design concept. Of course, excluding resins. Most third-party resins are not licensed, so that's a cheat. Having said that, for Kuji figures with a ton of alternatives from high-quality figure brands, I would recommend going for the alternatives. Like this last price figure of Soda from the latest Nikkei set. She is too expensive in the aftermarket. With the amount of Nikkei figures we are getting at every Wonder Fest, it's better to just wait. Look, Kotobukiya now has the exact same Soda at 1/4 scale. A tough fight for Bandai with a lot of QC issues. Welp, that's it. That's all for today's video. As much as I dislike Bandai's consistent QC issues, I still love what I picked up and will definitely continue to pick up Kuji figures. I like having male figures and I don't have much options out there. Like that Sogo figure, a 1/7 scale Sogo with bubblegum, I ain't getting that from anywhere else. Having reviewed all the various types of Ichiban Kuji figures, let me know in the comments below what you think. Are the QC issues worth the aftermarket prices? If I could get a Kuji figure within the price range of a low budget figure or a price figure, I think that would be reasonable. 700 yen would be the best, but that's for humans blessed with high luck stats. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, do leave a like and subscribe with notifications to stay tuned to more videos. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye bye!